All right. So welcome to South Hall Rotary. Glad to have everyone here today. Some faces we haven't seen in a while. Happy that you're here. If everyone will stand, we'll go ahead and do the pledge.
Let us pray. Lord God, thank you for providing this place for us. We thank you for the food that we are enjoying. And Lord, we ask that you bless these proceedings, bless the hands that have prepared this food, and bless this food to our bodies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have some guests today. First, I'd like to introduce the incoming Assistant District Governor, Kim Waters. Thank you for coming. And then I believe Mike has a guest.
As my guest today, Steve McDade, a longtime friend of mine who's helped me out with odd jobs around the town, used to help me with odd jobs around the church. We're working on some Social Security issues today, so he's really awesome.
Welcome. Glad to have you. I have one thing. We need somebody to do Meals on Wheels with Mike on Friday. Jeff?
You didn't have to say who it was with, and I don't know why.
We had an instant volunteer.
Yeah.
Jeff, so
Yeah, okay, great.
So that's awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for taking that over. Don't forget, next week we will not have a meeting here because we're having the end of the year party on Thursday night. If you have not told me you are coming, please tell me if you are coming. I have to turn in the numbers today. Perfect. Thank you, Betsy. I have to have the numbers turned in today so they have all of our delicious food ready. We're going to be at the Bradford House and Gardens, the same place that we met for last year's party. So if you need directions for that, let me know. I can send them to you. Otherwise, I will see you all there.
And it starts when?
It starts at 6. 6 is hors d'oeuvres, and then 7 will be dinner. And the hors d'oeuvres that I picked out are delicious, so you want to be there.
Wait, where is it at?
The Bradford House and Gardens, down McEver Road.
Yeah, McEver, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, all of a sudden it came into my mind as Brazelton.
Because I said Bradford. For some reason, I always want to rename that place.
Okay, Bradford.
But it's the Bradford House and Gardens. And don't forget, if you would like a drink, please bring your own. They don't have beer and wine there, but you can bring your own if you like it. Otherwise, they have tea and water that they'll be serving for us that night. Let's see. Oh, and the week after, that first week in July, we will not be meeting here. We're going to be on the square in Gainesville for the concerts on the square. My advice to you would be to get there early, so you have a parking spot, because it is lunchtime on the square with an event. So
That's on the 3rd?
it's on the 3rd. And Betsy, your birthday is the next day. So maybe we'll bring some hats.
Oh,
And
sounds
celebrate.
good, sure.
And, you know, after that announcement, I have no further announcements as president this year. Except, yes, one more that Dana and I just talked about. The boards are going to meet before the meeting on the 10th here. So if you're on my board, if you're on Dana's board, let's meet at 11 o'clock on the 10th before that meeting. Because she's been out of town, is going out of town again. We've been going crazy. We're not meeting next week, so we need to vote on her budget. We need to get things put together before she officially starts her meeting on the 10th. So if you can, please be there for that. All right.
Are we going to be prepared at the club assembly on the 10th?
Club Assembly's on the 30th of July.
That is the day that Anton will visit, so I wouldn't recommend that Club Assembly.
So do we have Club Assembly scheduled on the 10th?
Yes.
We'll be ready for it.
That's what I want.
We'll have it ready. If it's supposed to
I'll
be
do it
then,
done.
we'll have it done. Let's get it done. Good. Sorry, I had those dates confused. So the district governor is coming on the 30th. So let's make sure that we're all here for that, because Anton is fabulous and he's really fun to watch and interact with. So y'all want to be here for that. All right, who has sunshine today?
Oh, okay, you go ahead and if there's anything we missed out.
Okay. We got some sunshine. We've got our GRSP student.
Hey.
Her name's Kate Parker. She's from Awamputu, New Zealand. And her background is she was a waitress at the Waitomo Caves Hotel, and she's done relief milking on a dairy farm.
Relief.
That's what it says.
Is that when the starting milker gets a sore arm?
I guess so. I don't know what the hell it is.
I think she had come over to long.
She likes scuba diving, horse riding,
Oh, the
ski,
left-handed relief milker.
wakeboarding, mountain biking, hiking, snow skiing, rugby, soccer, horse riding, and water skiing. So she's going to be,
All
What
right.
year is she in school?
she's 23 years old.
Well,
And
no, 21.
21?
Yes, she's
Okay, she's 21?
Yes,
And what year is she in school?
I'm not sure.
She's majoring in occupational therapy, so.
Probably junior, senior, I would think.
That's right. So
We're
we're
the host
excited.
club.
We are.
This next year, so we'll be seeing her.
So we have it with the brass, just the two of them?
No, there's
There's
four
three others.
clubs. The Buford North Gwinnett Club, the Gwinnett Mosaic Club, and the Lawrenceville Club, and us are doing that. And our trustee is Beatty McCaleb. I was talking to Beatty this morning. She's trying to figure out right now when to set up her, when to come in. She needs, the earliest she can move into for now is the 18th. So she comes before the 18th of August, but she'll have to stay with you all, which is fine because it's a nice way to get to know her. And I've got the bike, the GRSP student bike in my bike, and I talked to Beatty, he's got the stuff. So, but for the first time this year, we will, each club, and the four of us will have to contribute, other than what we've already been committed to, an extra $150, so that a total of $600. Because the GRSP students go on club assembly, and, or, no, that's not the word I want, but it's better than down.
Something like that.
But anyway, they go down and meet, I think in the assembly, so, and they're going to get, we have to take her down to, geez, I'm really going crazy. What's the one that starts with Conyers? Down south, off of exit 20. Conyers, geez. Anyway, they'll be meeting at Conyers, get a bus, and then go to the different places throughout the state where they'll have the conclave. That's what I'm gonna say. So, we have to help pay for the bus. And believe me when I tell you, I'll gladly drive down to Conyers rather than some of the places we'll have to take her. But there's also GRSP students with Gainesville Club and things like that. So we might just work with one of the host families drives and as we take her down. But we will have to come up with that, which is above what we usually have done. But she sounds like she's delightful. We both have been in touch with her. And I think it's going to be great fun. And I know you all will be a wonderful club family.
Great. All right. So we have our GRSP students. What else? Any other sunshine? Sunshine and happiness today? Tim, you don't have any big announcements you want to share?
No, those were all last week. We had 3 in a row. The new ZF plant, and we had the new Pittsburgh facility that opened, both in Oakwood, and then Cabot's 25th anniversary, which were back to back. But it's keep rolling along, doing really well. New Steak and Shake opens tomorrow.
Yay!
Has anybody been to the soft opening?
No.
They do practice openings. I think they had one on the 15th.
I've just been waiting for them to come. Next year I will now weigh 500 pounds.
I like steak and shake.
I love it.
I think a vocational tour
Yeah,
to steak and shake
vocational
would be a good
tour.
place. Yeah.
Every week.
Let's get it. Every week after the meeting, vocational tour.
Maybe just one, we might need to bring our own little tours.
All right, well, if nobody else has anything exciting to talk about, then I'll turn the meeting over to Benny to let him introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Mrs. Grant. In honor of the day to introduce Dr. Mike Appel. Dr. Appel is actually the Chief Patient Safety Officer of Northern Health System. Got the title right. But, you know, when a lot of folks think of safety, they think of, you know, walking through the parking lot, tripping and all that, but it really goes deep through the organization. And we couldn't have a better person at the hospital than Dr. Appel, who really believes in safety and taking care of patients. Dr. Appel and his family live in Royal Lakes. They're real close to us. At first, he's a husband and a father. He's an airline pilot. He's a Delta. And now he's an anesthesiologist. And again, getting up safety for the hospital. So with that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mike Appel.
Thank you, Ben. Wow, that's a perfect introduction. I can hardly wait to hear what I'm about to say. Anyway, I think I owe an explanation for how I was able to accomplish all that. I'll give you the short version of the story. I was a pilot for Delta for almost 10 years. Prior to that, I was an anesthesiologist. I'm older than I look. And how did I get from anesthesia to be an airline pilot and now back to anesthesia and hospital administration? The year was 2000, and I was a pilot as a hobby, just flying little single-engine planes around. And I couldn't get enough. I was single, I was enjoying life, I was flying airplanes as much as I could, and I needed more. I needed more than just flying as a hobby. And a friend of mine who knew how into aviation I was gives me a call and says, "Hey, Mike, Delta's hiring." Back in 2000, I don't know if you remember the dot-com era, everyone was a millionaire. Airlines were growing like crazy. They couldn't get pilots fast enough. So they were reaching down to the civilian ranks and hiring civilians as pilots, but historically it was only military guys. So I sent in my application. I was an anesthesiologist. I was at Columbia University, assistant professor of anesthesiology. I sent in an application for a pilot. Long story short, they sent me a thick envelope with a ticket to Atlanta to go interview. 2 weeks later, I had a job offer, so I had to make a decision. And knowing how much I liked aviation, you're probably not surprised that I decided to pursue becoming a commercial jet pilot. It's pretty cool. But then I had to tell my parents.
There's time the doctor.
Oh yeah, calling my dad. Oh, Dad, remember all that money you spent on college and medical school? I just quit today. What? He says, his exact words, I kid you not, "Michael, you are making a grave mistake." He knew how much I like to fly. I explained it to him. I said, "Look, I'm young. I always land on my feet." Couldn't get through. So I said, "Well, you know, I'll be a Delta employee. You and Mom can fly 3 and 1 in the world on Delta first class." Next word out of his mouth, "Yeah, when do you start?" So I did that for 10 years, and now I'm back to full-time healthcare, split my time between the operating room and as chief patient safety officer up here. And safety is really something that it gets to the core of my existence. It's something I've always really been intrigued. And it's one of the things with commercial aviation that really stands out as something that's very amazing. In the level of productivity is super high in the aviation industry, but at the same time the level of safety is high. And healthcare needs to match that business model, because productivity needs to be top of our priority, because we're never going to be able to relive the golden years of healthcare where we just write our own checks. Those days are gone. But at the same time, people's lives are at stake. So we have to fix our system, and you'll see from some of the things that we'll discuss briefly today, we're not doing so well as an industry when it comes to safety. So with a subtitle like that, quality and safety, basically the same thing, right? Of course, you know what the answer is going to be coming from me, right? But hopefully when you leave here, you'll have an understanding of why. This is just a primer. And why quality and safety are different, how they're different, and how we need to manage them. And really, it's not that difficult if we just look to other industries, because we share so many things in common with other industries. We can look at how they address safety, give us clues. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So in the year 2000, this book came out by the Institute of Medicine, and this is now the calling card for safety in healthcare. There's hardly an article about safety and healthcare that doesn't start with a line about this book in its introduction. I have no idea how to pronounce this, or I would read it to you. It's kind of an awkward word. It's air. Intriguing. But if you look at the very top, it says, first do no harm. Where's that come from?
Dr. Rowe.
Yeah.
Wesley also said it too.
All right. Pronounce this. Okay, someone's good. I had to look that up. Primum non nocere. First, do no harm. It's in the Hippocratic Oath. As an industry, we can't say we're doing everything we can to fit the well-being of the patient for managing their safety as a top priority, then we're not really doing that. So that really is the guiding light for safety in healthcare, and really should be a core principle in healthcare. So if you want to get me sidetracked and guarantee we don't finish by 1 o'clock, we'll be talking about airplanes. This is a picture of the wing of the Boeing 767-400. Of course, I didn't take it because that would mean that I had my personal electronic device on. These are the ground lift dumping system, the flaps that go up on top of the wing as soon as the plane touches down, so that we don't roll off the end of the runway, because we're running at a speed that's about 20 to 30 miles an hour faster than we should be for landing. And that's a margin of safety right there, so the plane still has a good buffer. But if we always landed at 20, 30 miles an hour too fast a speed, we would bounce. The plane would bounce because the wings are generating enough lift. This guarantees you don't bounce. So you can stop on a typical 8,000, 10,000 foot runway instead of running into the next camera. Love it. But what does this have to do with safety and quality? It brings to mind a story that I like to use to illustrate the difference between quality and safety. Okay, so let's say, let's use Benny as an example. Benny's coming back from Las Vegas. I'm going to paint a picture of quality. Benny just won $50,000 in slot machines, so he's having a great day. He shows up to the airport to board this flight. The person at the front desk knows his name. Mr. Babel, how are you? I'll check your bags for free, and there's no line at TSA. And he gets to the gate. Mr. Barrow, please report to the gate. He walks up, he says, sir, the only seat left on the airplane's in first class. Here you go. He gets on, he's a great meal. They happen to have his choice beverage and stock. The only empty seat on the airplane happens to be next to him. Smooth, not a bump. Everyone's very polite. And he wakes up and he lands in the plane. How many of you think that that is quality experience? No one would disagree, right? Then Benny goes home and he turns on the radio and he hears this. WSB special breaking news. The pilot of flight 123 from Las Vegas was drunk. Was that a quality experience?
No.
That's what he drank.
So what's different now about the experience?
Safety.
So then explain why, only after knowing that, does that change Benny's experience? Why would it?
The fact you got there safely is nice. The fact you might not have gotten there is not so.
I like it, I like that. And I especially like that you use the word safety, got there safely, in your description of his experience, because it brings up a great point for me to illustrate that just in common English, in common conversational English, the word safety is misused, because you said got there safely. You arrived alive, and we're saying that he was safe, when at the same time you're saying he was not safe because the pilot was drunk. So the point I'm trying to bring up is we perceive the idea of risk as unacceptable, but only after we know it. Only if we know it. If we don't know about it, we think this is the best flight in the world. If something bothers us, the idea that we underwent a certain amount of risk that we do not accept. And that is a fundamental difference between quality and safety, in that the only way you can measure safety is by knowing what the risk is. And assuming that a good outcome, an otherwise pleasant experience is the equivalent of safety, is a big mistake of conflating quality with safety. And I'll tell you one thing, the healthcare industry is one of the only ones where you will see quality and safety as a single department within a hospital or within an organization. No other industry groups them together. You don't see Red Lobster Office of Quality and Safety. It doesn't happen. They're completely separate and they're managed differently. But the fact that we group them together should be included. And maybe we're not delving deep enough into the nuances that need to be addressed. And I'll tell you, Northeast Georgia is on the cutting edge of making this change. I always get a laugh out of this. I mean, this is 1946 Time magazine, I really have. It's always good for a chuckle. It shows you how times have changed. So let's define quality. Who wants to take a stab at it? What is quality? How do we define it? Sorry?
The best of everything. The best is only good enough for me.
Okay. Well, in the quality industry, this might sound a little sterile, but it comes down to conformance to specifications and fitness for use. Basically, it means that you're producing the product according to specifications, and those specifications are driven by what the product should be used for. So you can make the best car without tires. If your specifications say don't put on tires, it's not fit for use. Just to give you an idea of what, if you really want to distill down what quality means, is that the product has to do what it's supposed to do and has to be made according to those specifications. So now let's define safety. I'll make it easy for you. Anyone want to guess?
What, which of it? Or
Yes, pick one.
I'd say all.
They all sound really good, and at some point or another, people will pick any one of these. I heard someone say E. Safety is all about managing risk. So if you try to put safety together with quality, you have to make a few subtle changes to your mindset in order to somehow include risk in this definition. All of a sudden, arriving after a nice flight and feeling good about it, and everyone is nice to you, sitting in first class, having a nice window seat with a hot meal, all of a sudden, when we throw the idea of risk into the equation, we understand that safety and quality have to be managed independently. So, these are just examples of measurements of quality in healthcare, analogous to the idea of the flight that he took from Las Vegas. You can measure quality according to whatever specifications you come up with. So if you say we don't want our patients to wait, we're not going to divulge any of their sensitive information, we're going to follow best practices, we're not going to render unnecessary care, we're of course going to always render necessary care. All these things can be measured to give you an indication of quality. But what about safety? How can you say you're a safe healthcare organization?
Outcomes.
Outcomes. Love it. That's what we do. But our outcomes,
I want to qualify my answer. It's like the airplane. The outcome for that trip was good.
was satisfactory.
But the margin of error, there was no margin of error.
Correct.
And so outcomes, it may be the result of luck, which often it is, I think. And so I think there's got to be, outcomes are the measure of safety, but there's more to it than just outcomes.
Yes.
It's a whole process.
You just hit the nail on the head. Ultimately, what we're after is good outcomes. But that doesn't necessarily mean a single example of a good outcome. If we've shaved the margins of safety, then outcome is an insufficient measure on a case-by-case basis of safety.
Exactly.
Great. That's the exact point that I want to make, is that we need to measure risk to say we're safe. Because if we don't measure risk, we base it only on outcomes, we could be attributing safety to luck. And we're not at sea. This is a great example of how much money we spend as a nation on healthcare. These are all considered top quality healthcare delivering countries. And what's our GDP? Almost 16 trillion. We spend almost 20% of that on healthcare. We spend just about double every other country that is considered a good role model for healthcare.
Why is
Per
Norway
capita.
up?
Per capita. What's that?
Why is Norway up?
Well, Norway's up just because it has a much higher per capita GDP than the United States, than all these others. Wealthy country. But we spend way more on healthcare per capita than any of these other countries, and our quality is the same. Where's the money? There's a little bit of a conflict of interest in me personally, because I do pretty well. I mean, I make a good living. And there's lots of people who are making a good living out of the healthcare system. There's a little bit of a conflict there, because people don't want to change a good thing. But if you look beyond just what's in it for me, you consider the right thing to do, this is an ethical issue. And also, beyond ethics, I can pretty much guarantee that any one of us is sooner or later going to end up as a patient. Unless you're lucky. And I'd like to go by being shot dead by a jealous husband. Oh. The chances are I'm going to end up in a hospital sometime. At age 97. So sooner or later, we're all going to be patients, and I would like to know that when it's my turn, we've already fixed this stuff. So let's just consider quickly the financial incentives and how we can compare ourselves to pick a manufacturing industry like Toyota, that's already cited as a role model for quality. So how does Toyota handle defects? Defects are a quality issue in manufacturing, but Toyota realized a long time ago that they would have to eat the costs of their defects. So in the 60s, they figured out their long-term survival plan was to minimize defects. Defects that are recognized during the time of assembly, then they can be recognized at the end of assembly in the final product. The further you go in the process, the harder it is to fix, but also the more costly it is. Like when it's delivered to the customer and then it has to be returned for warranty service, that costs some money. Then when people start to perceive that the cars break down a lot, that costs some money. And then when the warranty expires, if the cars continue to break, then people aren't going to be buying Toyotas if they want to keep them for a long time, that costs some money. The bottom line is defects cost money. Toyota has to absorb that cost. So they decided a long time ago, strategically, let's get this right. What about healthcare? We make money on our defects. If you have a complication and you get admitted to the ICU and you spend another 3 days in the hospital bills for it and gets paid. Historically, they have. So where's the incentive to fix it? Intermountain Health, I don't know if you've heard of this story. Intermountain Health was able to, it's a big healthcare organization out in Colorado. They were able to figure out how to reduce readmissions from heart failure and save 900 inpatient days from their census, and it cost them $3 million. So it was a success that hit them in the bottom line. So that's a great illustration of the incentives being upside down. But that's going away. And whether you like it or not, I'm not a big fan of Obamacare. However, changes need to be made, no matter what they're called. People aren't going to like it, because sooner or later we're going to have to absorb the costs of our own defects. And if we're going to survive as an organization, figure out, just like Toyota did, long term, how to lower those costs. And those are going to be the survivors in the future. So, what product? Toyota produces cars. What does healthcare produce?
Healthy patients.
Healthy patients. If you say Toyota produces healthy patients, no. If you say healthcare produces healthy patients, the analogous statement from Toyota is to say that Toyota produces happiness. Do you agree? Does Toyota produce happiness?
It's a car anyway.
Here's what I say. We don't produce anything. We're a service industry. So happiness is a measure of our output. But what we actually crank out at the end of the assembly line is nothing. We deliver a service, just like any other service industry. Red Lobster produces meals for people. They don't crank out any product, and there's nothing for you to take home except maybe leftovers. But the idea is that our product is a service. So how do we measure and how do we prevent defects of a service? This is how we prevent defects of the product. These people measure and are able to remove from the product flow defects before they reach the customer. So you can take the defective blue jeans or baby garment out of inventory before the customer sees it, and they think you're doing a great job. Whereas in healthcare, we don't have the opportunity to do that, and neither does any other service industry. The product is created at the time of interaction with the customer. So there is no opportunity to weed out defective product unless you change the way you deliver the product. So it's really no secret how we need to approach quality and safety in healthcare. We could just borrow the tactics of service industries because we are a service industry. Bottom line is, quality control is a way of detecting errors, detecting defects. What about quality assurance? What's that? You hear the terms thrown around. Quality control, quality assurance. What's the difference?
Making sure the service is done right.
Yes, get it right the first time. Quality assurance prevents the errors. Big difference, critical difference. You are preventing the errors. So you could take all of the bad blue jeans out of inventory before you ship to the customer. Customer's going to get a perfect product. Whereas if you're, if you want to prevent those bad blue jeans from actually being made, you go back to how they're made. And in a service industry, it's your only opportunity to improve quality. Because at the time the service is delivered, it's too late to change it. So basically, another way of summarizing the differences is quality control. You can detect the error, you can scrap it or rework it, and that will cost money, of course. But quality assurance eliminates the cause of the defect. And if you're a manufacturer, you're going to want to look at quality assurance because that will cost you money throwing out a defective verifications. But in service industry, all you have is quality assurance because you have no way of controlling delivery of the product because it's created at the time of service. So quality assurance is really QC, but with an expanded focus on parts of the process that occur way before delivery to the customer. So we have to have standards, we have to have a way to measure those standards, and then a way to change our process to meet those expectations. So in summary, we prevent non-conforming product with quality assurance. And in the service industry, the product is our delivery service. Outcome does not appear in this definition. And here's an analogy of why outcome in healthcare is not a good measure of quality or safety. Let's say I was a hotel operator. I had a bunch of small feedback hotels maybe covered in. Don't laugh. My name's Appel, not Patel. But my receptionist is rude to the customers. Would I want to know about that? When would I want to find out about that? I'm sorry?
Immediately.
Would I want to wait for a complaint? What if I'm waiting for a complaint? That's an outcome right there. A customer that's annoyed enough to complain is an outcome. But what about the customer that doesn't complain? What about the customer that doesn't irk quite badly enough for them to be annoyed and not come back? That's still valuable information for me as an owner. But if I wait for the outcome for a letter someone picking up the phone, that's too late. I want to know earlier. I want to know that person is being rude before it annoys somebody. But by waiting for a patient to be harmed before we realize we're doing something unsafe, isn't that the same as waiting for the complaint? So that's why it's key to understand that outcome is not part of quality assurance. And it's actually blind to quality assurance, even in manufacturing. It's focused on the process. Once it's defective, it's no longer quality assurance. It's too late. Because you've created, you haven't prevented, you've created a defective product. And there's no opportunity to inspect a product in a service industry prior to its delivery. So just to summarize, the management of quality and safety are the same. We use the same tools. You have specifications, you have to have a way of measuring them. The key difference is we need to change our process in the service industry so that we can be assured that the product will be created satisfactorily rather than waiting and inspecting after it's already been delivered. A key difference between quality and safety is that quality is visible. Not only perceptually visible, but easier for people to understand. Whereas safety is invisible. Because when we're safe, what happens? Nothing. It's boring. It's boring. Also, this is a key point for people who spend their lives thinking about quality and safety. There's a concept known as the disqualification heuristic, and it really has to do with the onus of proof. In quality, we have to prove it's broken. The guy inspecting the blue jeans, his job is to look at it and see if it's broken. Whereas in safety, the safety professional's job is to prove that it's safe. We presume things are unsafe until they're proven safe. Merely by making that one little difference, inverting the mindset, makes a huge difference in how we approach problems. Because we no longer are waiting for the accident to tell us that something is unsafe. We are presuming it's unsafe and proving it is safe. And in the world of safety, we still have accidents. And the accidents are almost always a result of a failure in the process of how we determine what the risk is. We underestimate the risk. Boeing blew it with the 787. They underestimated the risk of the battery spontaneously igniting. It's not because they threw it out there and said, it's probably safe, we're not sure, let's see if they blow up. What they did was they cranked out these airplanes certain that the risk was 1 in a billion. And it turns out, after they had a few fires, they looked back and said, we made a few mistakes in our process of determining risk. Huge difference there. And this really goes back to what you said, and nuclear industry is a really good example to use. An example of where we really don't have the opportunity to learn from mistakes, thank goodness. We don't have China syndromes. We've never had a nuclear sub that has been lost. They get it right the first time because they proactively manage risk without waiting for a defect to tell them that they're doing something wrong. And this nuclear industry proves that it can be done. And what drives the nuclear industry, I think, is the understanding of consequences, that the stakes are really high. And in healthcare, the consequences are also really high because we have hundreds of thousands of lives at stake every day. But the problem, the difficulty we have is that they're one at a time. Injuries and preventable deaths for patients happen one at a time. So we don't have that galvanizing effect of a front page news story. That's what makes it very difficult, very challenging to apply this type of get it right the first time mentality in healthcare. What questions can I answer?
No questions?
I got it, it's really interesting.
Okay, I have my contact information up there, always available. If you want to follow up with anything. And thank you very much for your time. This is an honor.
All right. Does anybody have anything else before we close the meeting? All right. Incoming Assistant Governor Kim Watterson. of the things we think, say, and do. First,
Is it true? Is it fair